Hey, what's up? I'm Tommy West, and today I'm taking a look at the HTC One M9. Welcome back, I'm Tommy West in a new set, and this is the HTC One M9. Now, the HTC One M9 is a follow-up to last year's HTC One M8, which was a follow-up to the prior year's HTC One M7. And if that sounds really confusing, it totally is. But all you need to know is that this phone is better than the last, which was better than the last before it. So the question is it actually better than last year's model? Well, of course it is. The question is it worth it? And depending on what you really love about the HTC One, it might be worth upgrading. So if you're familiar with last year's HTC One, this one should look pretty familiar. In fact, it looks almost identical on the front, and not until you get to the back does it look any different. So gone from the back of the HTC One was last year's little extra lens that helped develop some artificial depth of field, and instead they just tried to make the camera better. Now, while I really like the M8's camera, the lens on the M9 is just kind of a step up from it, but not that big of a step. HTC did some upgrades on some of the features from last year, and I'm really happy to report that some of the bugs I was unhappy with from last year have been fixed. So still sticking around from last year is Blink Feed, which is just a swipe away on the home screen. Now, I was never a fan of Blink Feed, and if you want to get rid of it, just like last year, you can easily do so. Now, what the M9 has that the M8 didn't have, especially depending on your carrier, is Lollipop. So if you are really looking forward to that material design, it is built in. Now, this is the guy built for Verizon Wireless, and I can report that it was built in with some bloatware, including some games like Cookie Jam and Empire, which I really have no interest in playing, and really just takes up more space on the device. Speaking of space on the device, if you are so inclined, this thing does still take a micro SD card right in the side right there, so if you want to add some expansion memory, it has the capability to do so. Now, mentioning some of those grievances I had earlier, some things have been improved on the M9. One that I'm happy to report is some changes to motion gestures. Now, from last year's M8, I definitely like some of the motion gestures where some others I wasn't that happy with, and this time you have some more control over them. So if you're not familiar, some motion gestures include double tapping the turned off screen to turn it back on, or pressing the volume rocker to turn the camera right on. And on last year's model, it was an all or nothing give or take, meaning you could either turn on all motion gestures or turn them all off. So now you have the option of turning on or off individual motion gesture features like that swipe down for voice dialing, which I never liked anyway. So that might be a minor change, but it goes to show that HTC is actually listening to customers and making some minor adjustments based on some feedback. Speaking of minor changes, still built into the top is an infrared blaster, so you can use your phone as a TV remote. And HTC has included the Peel Smart Remote app to do all that IR blasting you really want to do. Also included, which feels like that it's been promised forever, is themes from HTC, which means you can actually theme up and customize your device to your specific liking. And you can even go on the HTC website and develop your own themes and share them and put them in the marketplace and let others download them. Now, if you're a fan of HTC Ones because of those stereo speakers on the front, do not worry, it will not disappoint. They are still in existence on the M9 and they are loud as ever. So on the M7, it was branded as Beats, on the M8, it was branded as Boom Sound, and on the M9, it's branded as Boom Sound with Dolby Audio. Now, despite all those branded names, when it comes down to it, the sound is just pretty damn good. In fact, it might be one of the loudest, best sounding smartphones on the market, which is great, especially if you like audio and music, whether it's your headphones or the speakers up front, this thing will sound damn impressive. Now, even though HTC uses their Sense UI on the front instead of plain old Android, I'm still impressed with it. It's still lightweight enough to not bog the phone down or look cartoony like some of the Samsung devices, and it just works, and it's clean. And that's the one thing about HTC One devices that I really like, is that they still look really clean. So one of the things I don't like about the interface is that even though this is Lollipop, it doesn't let you cast the screen like some other Lollipop devices do, and instead you have this HTC Connect icon, which lets you use an HTC Connect. Some other devices I've never really actually seen in the market and have been on this Sense UI since the M8. So even though this is Lollipop, HTC still wants you to buy their HTC Connect device, which I've actually never seen anywhere. And there's still that option for the HTC Mini Plus, which again is another device from HTC I've actually never seen in person. Now, one of the things I really liked about the HTC One was the photo editor, and you still have that here. The interface has changed up a little bit, but for the most part, everything is still in its place. In fact, HTC actually spun it off into its own little app called Photo Editor, which you can find in the menu right here. And the Photo Editor adds some extra cool features, especially if you're into, for some reason, designing EDM album covers. So overall, I really like the HTC One M9. It's a step up from last year's M8 with some minor improvements. If for some reason you literally just bought the M8, don't worry, you're not missing out on much except for the Lollipop, which will hopefully come to that one soon. But if you're in the market for a new phone, definitely check out the M9. It's a really cool phone, a step up from last year's phone, which I really liked also, and the design on it is actually really cool. Plus, if you're prone to dropping your phone, which a lot of people are, this thing has two things. Number one, Gorilla Glass in the front, so you probably won't do too much damage. And two, and probably better than the Gorilla Glass anyway, is HTC's protection, which if you drop this thing, they will replace it. So that's a lot of confidence behind the Gorilla Glass in the front, and in case you do any damage to this thing, HTC will help you out. So for some test shots to see what this camera is capable of and more of my review, check out thisispopcenter.com. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @GothamTommy. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel by clicking up here or going to youtube.com/GothamTommy. For Pop Center, I'm Tommy West. I'll see you next time.